Strange Season 2, Episode 8, Intruders. This was a really good episode. Like, some really cool stuff happened for the team, and then, of course, at the end of the episode, some not so great stuff happened, but ultimately, I'd say this episode was kind of a win for the team. Like, even though it was kind of split into sort of two components, a lot of good stuff happened in this episode. Like, Eph actually saved a guy. He got his rifle for free to take out Palmer. Setrakian and Fet, they actually went, and although they weren't able to steal the Lumen like they were hoping to, they were able to get one step ahead of the Master because they were able to get the information from the Cardinal before the worms actually took over so that the Master could read his mind. So now they're one step ahead of them. That may or may not actually cause some issues between the Master and Palmer as well. So we could see Icarus actually confronting Palmer in a much different way and being a little bit more forceful with him and actually attacking him in some way, like maybe even going after Coco, saying like, you were trying to find this for some reason and you didn't really share it with us, so it's obvious that you were kind of trying to use it against us in some way or have an emergency planned in case we decided to turn on you, much like the UV lights when he took out the rest of the team when Gus went in there. And it's like, oh, here's all these UV lights in this pit in the middle with a UV light shooting straight up. And, it was just in case, things got a little hairy for him. So it could cause some issues between, the villains and stuff like that. And I think that would be very interesting to actually see them fight compared to Icarus and Palmer's sort of witty back and forth banter, which this time Palmer actually won because he found out that the Master actually went to a new body, and it's like, oh, I would have thought he would have chose someone very loyal and stuff like that, and so he's just messing with Icarus, and for once, Icarus didn't have a response like he normally does, so that was actually pretty awesome to see. Like, he actually lost, that little battle that they had. They always have their back and forth, and Palmer comes out as, the underdog, and the underdog finally won this time, because any other time it's like, I'm not going to tell the Master that, I'm just laughing at you, or, you need to really calm down because this is all for the Master, you don't really mean anything. So this one time, Icarus finally was the one who didn't really have a response, and Palmer got the last word in. And despite that, he's still having some issues with Coco because, of course, she's reached her limit as far as secrets goes, and he had the stuff with the Cardinal at the end of the episode and some other things that were going down where he was just emotional. Like, he was in this real tense state, and it's like he was yelling at her and stuff, and it's like she's being okay with him, but it's like he has to share some secrets, and she wants to try to help him. And, of course, she doesn't know because I'm sure she'll find out, but for now, it's like, he's just trying to keep her alive because he cares about her. And who knows what will happen when she actually does find out, because I'm sure she will, whether it's because he tells her or he does end up getting attacked by, Icarus, I don't want to say Eldridge, Icarus, or maybe just some randoms, who knows. But it should be interesting when she finds out, and I'm sure she will. Like I said, that's whenever there's a character involved with the main character, they always find out the secret, whether it's a hero or a villain, they find out the secret, so it's just going to happen eventually. But it'll be something to see when she actually finds out and whether or not she decides to stay on his side. Because she mentioned that earlier, like, I'm always on your team. She might not be when she finds out the truth. She might leave him just like his former assistant did and go, somehow, run into the good guys. And it could end up that way, I don't know. But it was definitely awesome to see the teams, whether it was, like Fet and Setrakian, they got one up on the Master. Eph and Zack saved a person's life, and it seemed like, and I was really happy, like, this episode, I was like, ultimately it did it. It was a real roller coaster for them, because it started off at the typical low point where they're having their issues, then they save a dude's life, and, it's like, alright, they're having, a good father-son moment, they help save the person's life, and then it goes right back down right after that, when Eph has to tell him, like, again, basically, because he tells them before they go into the place, like, that's not your mom, she's dead. So they have an issue there, but then they save the guy and it's good. And then they get home, or they're almost home, and it's like, maybe you could save mom like you saved that guy. And it's like Zack just still doesn't understand. I thought he finally did, And you would think after everything that's happened he would, but he's like just a kid in some major denial. And it was just a really good episode. Like I think it finally addressed it, and I don't think we're gonna have to deal with him being in this certain state where he's like, why don't you help save mom, or why don't you do this, with mom, since since you're a doctor and stuff, why don't you just help her like you help everyone else? I think this time he finally gets it by the end when his mother actually gets there, which I figured was gonna happen, and it finally did. And we got to see Kelly as well as two of her kids, because she got two of the fillers through the security since they had to deal with the other Strigoi in the van. So she was able to get through with two kids. They're in there. They get taken out. It was actually some pretty cool stuff. Like, I thought Nora was going to get hit for a second when she was on the stairs. I was kind of worried about that, like, if maybe she would be walking and trying to hit Kelly, but Kelly will like shoot her pincer up through the grate since they reach and just enough to get into her foot or something. I really thought that might have happened. I wasn't 100% sure, but fortunately they all lived. They chop the pincer off of the first kid, and then F just launches it onto that random rack of spikes, which was really cool out of nowhere. I'd never seen it, but we don't really get a full tour of the base anyway, so it's just this thing of spikes was there, and he just boom, it's right there. And then the second one does like a Matrix dive in front of Kelly when F's about to get a shot off, and it's just like, oh, like I'll protect you with my life type of thing. So of course Kelly does escape. She's gonna be in there. Also with Kelly, she has a really awesome moment in the beginning with Icorus when he's teaching her how to do the makeup and stuff, and I loved what they did with her character having like the contractions and everything. When you're ascended, it's not automatic that you just start walking around and you can talk normally. She still has the contractions, and the way she was speaking, like when she was in the car and taking off her glasses, she would like pause a little in the sentence, and it wasn't just like, oh, what's that light for? It was like she paused and it's like, what's that light for? And she would have to kind of get hold of herself to take the glasses off and speak at the same time. And I thought that was actually really awesome. I was like, that's a really cool concept where we get to see someone grow beyond this point who initially, was under complete control. So I thought that was actually really, really cool. And she has to fight to speak fluently, or speak like she normally would have, and not to have like the jitters and stuff in her hands. So I thought that was just a nice little bit of lore that once you're given that ability by the master, you still have to train those muscles because you didn't really use them. Like, you had the contractions and stuff, and it was just impulse, and that was it. It was just your natural body movements just shaking and stuff like that. And their mouths didn't really move that much. It was just like they would open their mouths up to attack people, and that was pretty much it. Otherwise, their mouths were just closed, and they would somehow growl without opening their mouths, and that was pretty much it. So I liked that little bit of lore. We got to see her kind of in her human form, so to speak, until she got hit with that random crane that was in there, which was also kind of awesome. I thought that would actually kill her at first. I thought Nora would swing it hard enough and it would just like jam into her head for some reason. That doesn't actually make any sense because it's a crane. It's not like it's a knife flying into her head, but it cuts her cheek, and I'm thinking and hoping that that's what's finally going to help Zack realize this is not his mother anymore. Like, she comes in, with the skin. And of course, and that was another really great moment, is that initially he was saying, like, I can't let you in because, he didn't say it, but it's like, because you're sick and you're basically dead. You're not alive right now. You're just some form of your body. And I thought that was good. It was like he's doing it. He, of course, eventually does let her in. But that was a cool start to it where he was at least really thinking about it. Like, I can't let you in because it's not really you. And so I am hoping that he kind of goes to that permanently now that he's seen his mother, attacking his father. And he said, like, I get off of him. He obviously saw that she was attacking his father. And he saw her face, after she was scratched and stuff. And it was just like a whole facade. And he's going to realize that. Like I said, I'm really, really hoping he does. And now he might actually have, the chance to really talk with Eph. And it's not going to be the constant back and forth that they have. He's just going to accept it now And maybe now we might actually see him through other different stages where he'll be, actually sad and stuff because he was in denial. So kind of go through all the other stages of grief, just like, in one foul swoop. So that may be kind of bad having a kid there who's just going through all these emotions now that he finally accepts things as they really are. But it should be very interesting to see. So I'm really excited for that. That's probably going to be my favorite part if it plays out. Based on the trailer, the next episode is going to be all out war where they like take over the boat, shut off all the lights in the city, and just swarm the town. So I don't think that's really going to play a huge part with Zack being sad and stuff, because the full-on war assault doesn't seem like it's going to give you a lot of time for emotions and things. But we'll see. I'm really excited for that, because that's kind of what I've been waiting for everything to really just shut down. And it's been going strong for a very long time. Like, you got to admit, they've been doing this for a long time. And the city isn't just completely overrun, but it's because of the vampire aspect of it. Because it's not like, if you watch like The Walking Dead or something, it's just zombies. Like, they're just going around, they're eating people 24/7. But for, the vampires, it's like you can walk around during the day. Be careful when you're in a certain building. But basically, if you walk around during the day, you're totally fine, and that's it. So at night, you have to be careful. But during the day, everyone can still do their jobs. Everyone can go and get food and eat and drink water, stock up and everything. They can do that stuff until night happens. Like, we saw, it was more riots in the first season than it was this season when people were first kind of losing it. And now things have kind of calmed down a bit where people understand what's happening. And of course, everyone's fighting back. We had like the security checkpoint in this episode, which obviously isn't perfect, as we saw, and it's just going to get wiped out in the next episode anyway. But, things are being built back up and they're trying to fight back. It's not like with zombies where it's just 24/7 and, that's all there is to it. So, they've been going for a real long time, so that's why I'm really excited to see this really big battle where they just charge the city and just try to wipe out as many people as they can and take out, some of these great defenses. But I think this was a really good episode. We got to see also a ton of super speed, which I didn't know that the other vampires could do. I thought that was only the kids. But they showed like 3 separate people. They showed like basically 3 main characters. They showed Kelly do it. They showed Icor's do it, and they showed the Born, who we actually learned that his name is Quinlan in this episode. So he meets with Gus, which was awesome. I wasn't expecting him to actually come into the episode, but all 3 of them have like super speed moments. Like when Gus shoots at Quinlan, he dodges it super speed. Kelly runs out of the base at super speed at the end of the episode. Icor dodges bullets at super speed when they're in the church. And I was like, I didn't know any of them could do that because none of them have ever done that before. The only one that has ever gone like really fast was the Master. And that was like one time, and I think that was when they first met him, or when they actually first showed the Master when they were like in the caves or whatever. And I don't think even that was super speed. Like when he was running down the building, it was kind of fast, but you could also kind of equate that to he was running down and gravity was kind of just helping him go further. And he could just stop himself by jumping into the walls and, jabbing his claws into the concrete. But I was like, oh, I didn't know everyone had, like, actual vampire super speed. I thought that was just the kids. So that's something we haven't actually seen before, at least that I can remember. We may have seen Icarus do it before. It seems like something I've seen him do before, where he dodged something fairly fast. But for the most part, none of the adult ones ever actually do that. So it was just like, boom, everyone's got super speed now. So I was kind of surprised by that. But I did enjoy it. I was surprised to see Gus in this episode as well. So we got to see Gus and Angel. And they kind of tried to talk to the family about leaving the restaurant and things because their supplier is actually destroyed. So they really don't have what little they had to begin with, with the city falling apart now. But they're kind of set in their ways. That's where they are for now. I'm sure they are going to end up moving. But Gus is kind of pulled back into things by Quinlan. And, I love the conversation they had, especially towards the end where he's like, why me? And Quinlan's like, that's the question I learned to stop asking myself a long time ago. And it's kind of just like, once you're drawn into this very specific path against the Master, that's just what you are. Whether you want it to be that or not, you're going to have to fight the Master because you crossed him before, and he's not gonna forget that, and he's gonna destroy everyone you care about, whether it's someone you knew for a long time or whether it's someone you just found. He's gonna come after you if he finds out where you are. So I'm excited to see Gus get back into the training. It might take a couple more episodes to really convince him. Like, I think he might have to save his girlfriend, once or maybe twice even, where he's like, okay, I really do have to leave her alone. Like, I have to leave all these people and leave Angel to fight and protect them, and I'll just go and try to work with the other masters and take on, train under Quinlan again a little bit more and stuff. So, I loved that little conversation they had with him. It was very surprising, but I really loved it. And I think this was just overall a great episode. We got to see Eph really explain everything that happened with Nora. I do believe she understood why he paused, and the quick relationship that he had with the woman when he went to DC. I think she kind of understood that as soon as he explained it. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out between them, but this was definitely a great episode. I really enjoyed it. Had some pretty good action in it. Definitely some really great important plot points, especially like the Lumen stuff. I'm really excited for them to have a one-up on the Master and just see what answers they get from the Lumen and who they actually have to go to, because they got to the Cardinal, but he doesn't have it, and it's someone else. And he tells them who. I forgot exactly what he said, but that I could barely even hear what he said, but Setrakian said something about the camps, like in Auschwitz and stuff, and I didn't understand at all what that meant. Like, I barely heard what the Cardinal said, and then he said that, and I'm like, I'm super confused. Like, what did he just say that made him talk about Auschwitz? Like, I'm assuming it's just someone else that's alive that he knows. But either way, this was a great episode, and I'm excited for the next one for sure. But of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I really want to know what you guys thought about Zack in this episode, because, like I said, I think, and I really do hope, that this was the final episode of him really in denial about what happened with his mother. Despite everything he'd seen, he was still in denial about stuff, and I'm hoping that this finally just let it click. Like, he saw what happened. He saw her, after she got hit with the crane, her skin's like falling off, and it was just to trick him. I'm hoping he gets that now, but I think this was a good episode. Like, it kind of annoyed me initially that it did go up and down. I was like, that kind of sucks, because they had such a good moment. And it was still a good moment, and then it, went right back to him in denial. I was like, that kind of sucks, because they had such a great moment saving someone's life together. But I really enjoyed, his story throughout this episode. It went up and down, but it was like a big focus compared to other episodes where they just argued, and then that was it. In this one, it was like, it went back and forth for a really good reason until that ultimate, climax at the very end. And it's like, this is kind of the moment for him to finally just get what his father was really saying. So I enjoyed it, but like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.